The Ban Righ Center is a center at Queen's University that supports continuing education for women, and that is in an informal and a formal way. So for informal education, what we like to do is hold a speaker series, and usually that would be about one speaker a week, and they come in and it's a very casual setting, and people will have a bowl of soup and sit down over the lunch hour to hear a speaker talk on a great range of topics.
Or be it resolved that I, Mark Gerritsen, Mayor of the City of Kingston, hereby proclaim the month of October as Women's History Month in honor of all the women in Canada and elsewhere who have fought for equal rights.
For October this month, we wanted to celebrate National Women's History, so the talks all relate in some way this month to National Women's History, but in general, the talks can be about anything. Last year we had a lot on the environment, but anything that impacts the lives of women we would want to hear about.
Just like you saw the Arab Spring, I think you will see the equivalent thereof in different parts of the Muslim world with regards to women.
The Ban Righ Center Speaker Series is a speaker series, a noon-hour speaker series that strives to bring the Kingston community and the Queen's community together. So it's open to anyone who wants to come, and it highlights oftentimes what faculty and graduate students are doing at Queen's in terms of their research or their areas of focus, but also members of the community from our own community, but from further afield as well, to come and speak on the topics that they're experts on.
And I was going up to the Himalayas because I wanted to last gasp before I came home. On the plane, I was seated beside a woman who was huge. I mean, I came up to her belt buckle. She was really big.
We do try to cover everything possible, and we try to provide topics that will be of interest to a lot of people. So it can be anything from politics to social justice issues. We often have an artist and an author or a poet come every term. We have oftentimes professors and graduate students coming to talk about their cutting-edge research, whether it's in limnology, the study of lakes, or some area of psychology or women's health. Not all of our topics have to do with women's issues, for sure. We try to be very eclectic, but we do try to bring in as many female speakers as we can. And Shima Khan was a journalist who came from the Globe and Mail and spoke about feminism in Islam recently.
She's out as a lesbian and very straightforward in who she is. She has very strong ideas about how Islam should be reformed.
The Ban Righ Center is a fantastic place for supporting women, and the reason that women still need support in this way is that we know women represent two of the 4 poorest groups of people in Canada. So women have single mothers and unattached older women. People with disabilities and Aboriginal urban dwellers are the 4 poorest groups in Canada. Women who choose to come back to school often face financial barriers. They often have other responsibilities that they have to deal with, sometimes children, sometimes caregivers for elderly parents. They're often multitasking and doing a great job at it, but it is important that we are here to provide support for them. While women are increasing their participation in education a lot more than they ever have in the past, they're still underrepresented in a lot of fields, particularly math, science, technology, engineering, those sorts of things. And so the center is a place where those women who come from underrepresented areas of the university can feel a bond and a sense of community. And I think community is probably the best thing the center provides.
Some people can be intimidated by taking a course at university or doing something that's a little more formal or structured. So this is an opportunity for people to come to a very warm and comfortable environment, sit down with a bowl of soup. It's very casual and informal. There's a good opportunity for the speakers and the audience to interact and have discussion afterwards. So it's just a comfortable, easy, accessible way for people to keep their minds stimulated and to learn what's going on around them.
I've been a professional musician my whole life, and I've traveled the world played in rock bands. Currently I play in a local acoustic duo called Chris and Dee. A little bit more kind of a reflective style of music than what I used to do. But one of the things that I found in all of my travels, no matter where I was in the world, no matter how big the city was or how small the city was, people gravitated towards each other to share stories.
Well, there's no shortage in Kingston of people who will come and speak about their passions or their areas of expertise. So it's really a pleasure. I can also indulge some of my own interests, areas of interest. It's the Ban Righ Centre's way of providing free and accessible continuing education to the entire Kingston community. We have a few talks coming up to round out this fall term, and the next one is on November 7th, and Georgette Fry, a local Juno nominee, is coming to talk about her women's community choir, Shout Sister. Closer to the end of the month, on the 22nd, we have Dr. Ban Righ coming to talk about mood issues and how to beat the blues, essentially. Something that I think will be familiar to a lot of people. And then in January, on the 16th, we have realities, issues, and challenges for service providers who work with sex workers.
Canadian Senate, to be on the Canadian Senate upon the recommendation of Jean Chrétien. She served in the chamber as an independent until her retirement in 2002.
We entered into some discussions with Cogeco early in the fall about having the opportunity to have some of these talks aired on Cogeco TV and essentially broaden our audience and give people another avenue by which to watch the presentations that happen here over the noon hour. So basically they come in and very tactfully and quietly find a place in the room to set up their cameras and their lights, and they videotape the sessions as well as do some interviews with both the speakers and some of the attendees after the show. We've discussed the importance of making education accessible and the importance of exercising your mind and learning about the world around us, and I think by having some of these talks accessible on Cogeco, it just broadens the audience base, so it just gets the information out to more people.
There is a groundswell of anger amongst Muslim women in many parts of the world. You don't read about it, it doesn't make the news, but it's developing, it's percolating, and it's just a matter of time. And so I think the topic of feminism in Islam is actually quite relevant because we are seeing a change